So before any dynamic unpacking is performed, you really want to do validation. And validation will tell you if the files are broken, and if they are broken, if they can be fixed. Now, as I said, Nexus plugin is included with the TitanMist, and all of this validation and repair is done automatically. Now, the Nexus also solves the problem of missing dependencies. Now, some files load dynamic link libraries through the import table, so those files cannot be started at all, while others can load dynamic link libraries on the runtime, and some of them can actually get through the packing layer automatically. So FSG, for example, if it doesn't find the dynamic link library, it will just continue running, and that's bad because the programs can crash if they're packed with that kind of packer. Others are better at this, and when they don't find the library, they just exit. So to counter this, we can fake the presence of dynamic link libraries both statically on disk, just by creating the files so they are physically there and they have all the exports that are needed by the application. Or we can just hook some functions inside the packed process and return fake values to tell the packer that the necessary dynamic link library and the functions are actually there. So we can do either of those, but TitanNexus does both of those because there are different models for different packers, and we want to support everything. Now that brings us to our demo. Now we're going to show the demo, and we're going to show how the TitanMist works. We gave our sacrifice to the demo gods, so I'm hoping they're not going to abandon us now. So we have some samples there. We have one file which is broken. We have files that are packed with different kind of packers, which we have Alex Protector, we have ASPack, we have exefog, we have TLock, we have Yoda Crypter, we have Unpack, UPX, and we have some other settings with the UPX as well. So this file, for example, and I just talked about the Nexus plugin, this file, for example, doesn't load because it has missing dynamic link libraries, and we can just see that if we place a breakpoint at the load library call and just see how it works. So the first one, kernel, is found, and then we just scroll till we found the one which is missing. So that's going to be 0 and it ends. So we can unpack that file with the help of the Nexus plugin. So this is the TitanMist. It's a console application that you can call with certain parameters. First one is the input parameter, which tells it which file you want to analyze. So if you just start the TitanMist and say, okay, just scan a file, have samples, and we can scan any of these files and say just match. It will give you the information about the file format. So it will give you the name of the file format, which is in this case exefog. It will give you the version, so the exact version, and it will give you the author of the packer. It will also give you a link to our website which you can follow, and on which there's some additional information about this format. So you'll have the information that's available here. You'll also have protection options that's inside the packer as well, and you'll have some samples and additional unpackers you can use. Now if we were to unpack the file, we would just call the same, we would just call TitanMist and say, okay, just output this to a file for me, and it will show you a log of what just happened. So since this is a dynamic unpacker, it will log all the information it collected during runtime. So for example, it will show you the dynamic link libraries which the packer is loading. It will show you the functions that are required and the addresses where they are going to be written. And at the end, it's going to tell you the entry point. So once this is done, the output file is the valid portable executable file, which you can just run because it's valid, and you can just analyze it further, and because all of the packing layers have been stripped. So if you look at this is just a simple Visual C++ application. You can analyze further if you like. So we can do the same thing for all sorts of formats. As I said, some of these unpackers which are linked with the signatures are dynamic and some are static. So we can just test one of these which works as the Titan script. So that would be ASPack, for example. So ASPack, we do the identification. It tells us it's ASPack, tells us who wrote it, and we can go to the website as well. So we can just tell it to unpack itself, and it will load the Titan script. Now the Titan script this particular one doesn't have any logging, but you can use that as well. The unpacking succeeded, and we can just open that application as well again and analyze it further. It's the same file, so that's why the entry point looks the same. We can do that as well for the TLock. For the TLock, we have a native dynamic unpacker, yes. So TLock, this is it. Wrong parameter. So identification, it gives us that it's a TLock, and you can go to our website to read more about it, or you can just unpack it normally. So out.exe. And it works. It's a different application. This is the Delphi application. Now we can do the same for dynamic link libraries as well. So all the files we have unpacked just now have been executables, and we can do the same for the dynamic link libraries. Now there's a small trick you can use. Now if you look at this, this is the UPX file. Now the default unpacker for UPX is TitanScript. Now since TitanScript doesn't support unpacking of dynamic link libraries yet, you can just say output this to output DLL, but use the Lua unpacker, which is also available. Now that will load the Lua framework, and the Lua will unpack this file entirely, because the Lua unpacker relies on the Titan engine, and it both supports executables and dynamic link libraries. Now if we do that, we output some information, and the output file will be provided, and it's also a valid executable. You can just, it's dynamic link library written in Delphi as well, which you can analyze further. Now if you don't know that this unpacker doesn't work with the TitanScript, you can just tell it to try all the unpackers which are listed for the specified format, and we do this as fswitch, which is force. So it will try the unpackers in a row until it finds one which is provided in the database which works. So it started the TitanScript first, it saw it didn't work, and then it started the Lua automatically, which provides an output file. So we have, as I said, we have the update feature as well. So if we just call the TitanMist with the updates switch, it will connect to our website, download the new database, and it will download all the new unpackers as well with it. So the last thing we have to show for the TitanMist demo is the use of the Nexus plugin. So we have a broken file which doesn't work. If I just start it, so it is broken. So if we just start our TitanMist and say broken is the input file, and we tell it to output it to the output.exe, it will not work. It says unpacking failed because the file is broken. But if we tell it to start it and use the Nexus plugin, that's the end switch, it will automatically repair the file on the disk, and it will monitor the application for the missing dynamic link libraries as well. So if you just start it, it will tell you that the unpacking has succeeded, and the output file is, of course, yet again the valid portable executable, which you can start in a debugger or normally and analyze. So you can try that, and to make sure that the reason why this is failing is because the application is broken, we've included the file, the application called PEValidate. And PEValidate will just scan the application and tell you all about it. If it's valid, it will say it's valid, and if it's not valid, it will give you a detailed report why this is broken. Okay. So demo gods didn't listen to me. It says the file is valid as well. Okay. And that's the Nexus plugin. It will repair the damaged files. Yeah, because the file has been repaired. So if we just restore that, then it will say why it is broken. Of course. Or not. Doesn't matter. It does work. So the problem we address with this is the damaged files, and we also have files which are missing dynamic link libraries. So this particular file is missing a dynamic link library, which is realigned.dll, and this is why it cannot start. So we can use Nexus again and just tell it to unpack the file, which is called xplister. just output it to output.exe and tell it to use the Nexus plugin. And it will unpack it entirely, because you see it created additional file on the system, which just spoofs the packer into thinking it is there. So the output file as well needs that import as well. You can see that realign is in the import table as well, but the file has been unpacked. You can just load it inside the debugger or disassembler or whatever. If I move it here, then sure it should work. It won't, but you can disassemble it as well. So yes, you can do all sorts of things with the TitanMist, and I believe we showed you everything that the TitanMist can do. For now, as the demo. For every entry in the database, and you can look at the database once you download the tool, you have a link to our website which gives you information about the file formats. You have basic information, you have extensive format analysis which tells you how the format really works, gives you the protection options, gives you a TitanMist unpacker for it, and it gives you some sample files as well. Now we're going to release this tool, and we're going to release it with the support for these 20 formats. So we have some native unpackers. Most of them work statically. Some of them work dynamically, such as TE-lock. And we have some script unpackers, and that script unpackers which are listed only refer to the Titan script unpackers. We included 10 of them, so you can just look at them and see how the Titan script really works, because we want Titan script to be one of the key features of this product, and you can heavily rely on it because those unpackers are really easy to write, and we can show you one right now. So unpackers, as I said, you can have Lua, native, or Python, or Titan script. They are all linked to our database, which looks like this. So here's the database, and as I said, it's an XML file. And for the UPX, as you can see, you have 3 unpackers. One is the Titan script, one is Python, and one is Lua. You can use either of those, and as you see, the default one is set to the Titan script. And these are the signatures we created for these formats. 20 different packer families are supported for both identification and unpacking. And you can also have signatures inside this database that only refer to identification. So you don't have to have an unpacker. You can only use this. You can use this for both unpacking and identification, but you can also use it just for identifying purposes. So as you can see, these are the complex signatures we talked about. And for the unpackers, you can have Lua, native, Python, or Titan script. And for the Titan script, we're just going to load one of those and show how it works. So it does look like Titan Engine because, as I said, we recoded this to fit the Titan Engine profile and use some Titan Engine features such as reading the data from the file, then use the OliScript functions to find the patterns inside a file and place some breakpoints there. So once you place a breakpoint, for example, at the load library, you would read the string which is held at EAX there, and that's the name of the library, and you just pass that to the Titan Engine. Same goes for the getProc address. Just read the string or the ordinal number and pass that to the engine. And at the end you have a static part of the script which will probably never change. All this does is dumps the file to disk, exports the import table to it, and makes it a valid file. So this is the part of the script which will probably never change for any of the scripts. And of course, if there's an error, you just return error. So that's how one of the unpackers for the Titan scripts looks like. As I said, we shipped 20 of those today. There are no version numbers. We support almost every version.